Welcome to Marketing MASH, brought to you by themarketingscope.com.
Welcome to the Marketing MASH video series. I have Doug Arthur with Cisco with me today. Thank you, Doug, for joining us.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it.
We're on location here in San Francisco, California at a marketing event, and Doug is going to spend a little bit of time with us to talk about video, webinars, and collaboration for marketing purposes.
Absolutely.
And some best practices or examples on how to leverage it for product launches, marketing, and lead generation.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing this, Doug?
Gosh, I think I did my first webcast in 2000, so it's been a while. Yeah.
Well, what about webinars? How long have you been?
Yeah, at the same time.
Good, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've been with Cisco for how long?
6 years.
6 years, great.
Yep.
So when we think about webinars or video with product launches, what are some, let's not talk about the best practices first.
Okay.
Talk about some pitfalls or some things that you've seen organizations do that we need to think about and prepare ourselves on what not to do, right?
Sure, yeah, I think one of the biggest pitfalls that I see is reinventing the wheel every time you do it and not having a good process down. And it's really important to make sure that when you do one for the first time, and there's lots of lessons learned, that you document those while it's happening, and then after the fact, kind of do a decompress and figure out, okay, what worked and what didn't. And not just from an internal standpoint, but really tap into the audience. Because I think that is the biggest key, is that over the 13 years that I've been doing this, is really focus on the audience. And I think, you and I both have a marketing background. Marketing 101, know your audience. It's so key in this in this venue with this vehicle, because there's constant change happening and the audience changes. So really tap into that and know your audience.
Yeah, and so we say about maybe keep a best practice guide on what's working, what's not, and then adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not identifying somebody in your organization to be kind of the czar, the knowledge keeper, make sure that you've got a good place to keep that knowledge and you're constantly updating it. So whatever works for you within your organization, whatever vehicles that you like to use, meetings, or if you're putting it out in PowerPoint, or if you're keeping it in a file somewhere, just constantly use that, and that's kind of your living Bible going forward, and you're constantly refining your process, constantly striving to get better.
Yeah.
I think that's a key.
Yeah. So I heard a story the other day about a technology company that did the traditional product launches where they launch in North America, then they went to Europe, APAC, Asia Pacific, Latin America, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And it usually took them 6 to 9 months to roll out a product. And now they're leveraging technologies like yours,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be the video, the webinars, and what have you. And it's 6 days as opposed to 6+ months.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in multiple languages. They can track everything.
Right.
So having said that, can you give me an example of a company that you've worked with? Because I know you work closely with your customers to implement and integrate these technologies. Can you give us an example of one that's using it for marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. And your metrics are good. You mentioned speed, but also what's the next step? The company that I'm going to talk about, which is Seagate, which sells and innovates hard drives for computers. Their metric was moving units on the first day of the product launch. How can we tap into our audience?
Really?
How can we tap into the people that we know are going to buy? How can we get them to be aware that this product is coming? And then on day one, how many units can we move?
Those are high expectations.
High expectations, absolutely. And so to do that in a traditional way where you're doing an on-site product launch, you're limiting your audience. But and this is what they did for the very first time, they did it through the virtual events. They were able to not only reach their audience, engage their audience, get their audience to give them feedback, get questions answered, and sell units on that same day. It was a huge success. I think probably the biggest, most satisfying reaction that I got from this customer is one of the vice presidents within the organization, who wasn't really even tied with the event. Their comment was, I was more proud to be a Seagate employee today than because of this event.
Wow.
I mean, it built
Wow.
and this person had built pride in the organization.
Wow.
So and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about having a process. Never done it before, big success. They were able to really crunch the time and be more efficient, spend less amount of money on their launch. but they documented their process, and they were constantly refining it.
Great example. So Cisco, world leader in video and amongst other things, what can we expect from a video perspective from you guys in the next few months?
Yeah, I think, again, reaching further engagement. And this is something that, Eric, we do, that we've seen a big change within our corporate communications over the last few years. We've always had good video production, and we've always really worked hard to bring all 70,000 employees at Cisco around the globe together for town hall meetings and our quarterly corporate events. But really what was missing, the video was there, but what was missing was the engagement, bringing people in and having them join the conversation.
Yeah.
So what we've seen within the last 2 years, and we're going to see more and more of this because it's constantly moving, which is how do we get people's questions answered? How do we get them engaged, not only with our speakers, but with each other, and really understand what the issues are. And so it not only touches those particular events, but it touches the entire initiative of our upper management, which is how do we take a pulse of our employees, what's top of mind for them, and how do we get them involved in the top corporate initiatives.
Maybe you guys can do a best practice guide on how to be a great presenter like your CEO. That guy does great town hall meetings.
John is good.
Or just great presentations in general. I saw him at a conference, and he could just work the audience like a politician.
He is a natural. It's great when you have good talent.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. Well, good. Thanks, Doug, for spending some time with us and starting the conversation. What if the audience wants to continue the conversation or reach out to you? Do you have some contact information?
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
Give?
My email address will be up on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me. I think what I've experienced over the last 13 years is really building a community and passing along the knowledge that I have, because I didn't come up with this stuff. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. There are a lot of people that have helped me. So, yeah, please let me know. And always willing to help.
Well, good. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Art.
And that concludes the Marketing Mash on location. Thank you very much.
That's it for this episode of Marketing Mash. You can share your thoughts by following us on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our podcast to keep up with the show. And of course, you can always find us by visiting themarketingscope.com.